Okay, I'm going to give you some examples how to calibrate your printer and kind of narrow things down a little bit, make it a little more simpler instead of having to do a bunch of test prints. And this is just going to get you in the ballpark, okay? So most of these printers that you buy from any company, they will come with a test print file that's on the USB. And it's this one right here by Anycubic. Now I am using UV tools, okay, and it's going to open this up. You don't need to know a whole lot about UV tools at all, okay, because it is very complicated. So there's only one setting I'm going to show you in here that you're going to need to pay attention to, because these test prints is made by the company, and they try to make these the best they can do. That way when you test it, it doesn't fail, okay? And so here is the file that was off the USB drive, and I loaded it in here. So if we go to Tools and Edit Print Power Meters here, there's only 3 settings that you got to pay attention to. And before I go any further, alright, if you're new, they're assuming that you're using some standard Anycubic resin or some just basic standard resin. If you go off and start using something different, different brand, everything's just going to change. So let's just try to keep everything real simple right now, then you can mess with it later. Now there's 3 settings that also we're going to pay attention in here that you need to pay attention to. If I move my cursor over here on the right, you'll see it says 50 millimeters. Alright. Okay, this is going to be the layer heights. Okay, this is 50 microns. Okay, and the next one, very important, right here, exposure time. Okay, it's at it's in the seconds here. And the third one is exposure time. Okay, these are only 3 things that we need to pay attention to. Now we can copy and paste these in Leasty Slicer and just give us a ballpark of what settings that we need to do. So we're going to remember 50, then we're going to remember 2, ignore the N right here with 2 zeros, that's fine, and then 23, so it's 50, 2, and 23. So when we open up Leasty Slicer here, and we go to export, and we'll select you can select a printer here, and I'm over on mono price. I want to go to Anycubic, and when I select it, you can see it highlighted here. Then you can edit through here. So this exposure time was 2, and I believe this was 23. Let's see what else we got here. 23, 2, and 50. Alright, now you can see it's got different settings for the millimeters and microns. See, if you see it switching like to millimeters, it may look like something like this. So you may want to, I like to keep it simple because I don't read millimeters very good, and 50 sounds like a good number to me, so we'll just keep that in mind. Then we just double check everything real quick, and if you do mess up, you can just recycle right here and then put it back to default and press OK when you're done. Then you'll see your Anycubic over here with your 50 millimeter and all your settings. So when you get your basic settings down, like I showed you earlier there in Leasty Slicer, you'll want to go find your exposure test, like cones of calibration, exposure finder, and start running a couple tests, okay? And then when you finally figure out what you like, and for some reason later you're like, hey, I don't want to print at 50 layer thickness, I want to switch to something else. Well, what's going to happen is everything's going to change on you, and you're going to be with your hands up in the air which way to, to adjust certain things. This is going to get you in the ballpark. Now these 3 top boxes are basically the same as the 3 bottom boxes, but these will update when I make some changes here. So let's say, for instance, okay, the layer, this is one I wanted to print it at 50. Then the exposure time was 3. Then the bottom curing time was 24. And I said, oh, later I wanted to print it, a smaller micron. And well, you're gonna have to start all over. Well, this will get you in the ballpark. I'm not having to, where to start at. For instance, if I wanted to start at the layer thickness at 40 microns, you type it in this box here, you can see right here, and press enter. These are all your new settings, okay? Like I said, the top 3 boxes are like the bottom 3 boxes. You can ignore some of these double digits right here. Don't ignore the exposure time. And the bottom layer, if you can round it off, I would be best just to go a little over than under on it, just to make sure everything's going to work. So if I put this back to 50 again and press enter, then that's what it gets. And then you can keep on changing it to whatever you want and press enter, and everything updates. You can reset this, then you can reset to last use. Alright, puts everything back. So we're going to set it back to default like this. And now this tool was kind of designed by watching this video using this guy's formula right here. Alright, 3D Print Pro. So I just kind of made it kind of easy for you to do the math. And it says how to adjust your layer exposure time when changing layer heights for 3D resin printers. Alright, just to show you an example, alright, we're not going to pay attention to anything. You see these 3 arrows? Don't pay attention to anything on the right. We're going to pay attention to the 05, 10, and 50. Alright, basically this is in millimeters, but what I want to do is, it's basically on the web page it's going to be 50, 10, 50. Alright, so it's going to be 50, 10, 50. Okay, so this is what he's got. Now what he's saying here, if you look to the right of it, if you do, instead of 50 microns and you do it at 40 microns, okay, which is 0.4, so it'll be 40, 9, then 45. You can't see the 9 behind the button here, so it'll be 40, 9, then 45. Instead of having to type all that is, all I got to do is put 40 microns right here. So if I put 40 right here, and you will have to press enter. Alright, like I said, ignore some of these endings, like right here on the thickness. You just put 40 in Leachy Slicer. So we got 40, 9, and 45. Exactly what he's got. Be 40, 9, then 45. Alright, so give him credit for that. And if you have any issues, if you start typing up here, just go ahead and reset this and just start typing manually, but I would just go ahead and reset this for right now. Okay, for instance, let's say these are the settings that I like, okay, and these will load up by default. These are just kind of general. They don't really mean a whole lot. It's going to say 50 in here, and then 3, then 24. Don't worry about that. It's kind of just default settings. It may work for you, it may not, but that's not what it's designed for. But let's say it does work, okay? and I wanted to say I wanted to print at 25 microns and press enter. Then we'll open up Leafy Slicer like I showed you earlier. Then we'll do the 25 for the microns, the layer thickness, and exposure time. Don't round this off, so it'll be 2.3. Okay, right here. Then we'll do the bottom curing time, and if you feel unsafe that it's too low, bump it up a little bit. I wouldn't. If it works out, this thing might work the first time. You might have to do a little tweaking, but this will get you in the ballpark, because without this calculation, this guy's formula right here, the 3D Print Pro, you're basically going to have to start from scratch. This will get you right in the ballpark. I haven't did any full test on it. The guy's been around, he knows his stuff, so I believe this would all work, and I'm going to be running some more tests, but nothing is, written in stone, so this should give you the general idea of, if you decide later that you wanted to change your layer thickness, then this is a good way to do it. And once you get all your settings in here, put them in Leafy Slicer. Like I said, we'll do the 25, 2.3, and the 18. And like I said, if you want to bump it up one or two, whatever you feel safe with, that's great. And when you get done, you just go ahead and run your exposure test one more time, and to see how these new settings are going to work for you. Okay, so anyway, the link will be below the video. You can download this file right here. It's just an HTML file. I have it in a zip file, and you can download it below the video.